Alright then.
All right then. So, Kesmond, how are you doing today, man?
You doing good, and you, Chris?
I'm doing all right, man. Can't complain, man. Enjoying the vibes of the humid ass outdoors.
Bro, it's been humid for like the last 2 weeks.
Stop it, man. I need the rain to come back, man. I'm sweating up a storm. I'm gonna lose some weight sitting in this spot, man.
What? No, for real. You know it's bad whenever you take a shower, step outside, and you instantly get drenched all over again. You're just like, wait a minute. I haven't even like got all the way out the door yet.
Oh yeah, man. It almost seems like as soon as you got the shower, it's game over, man.
Right.
It's hot. It's hot. But, man, tell me how life been treating you.
Life has honestly been treating me pretty well. Really can't complain because like the way I look at it, even if I was to, it wouldn't make a difference. So I just take every day as like, learning lessons, trying to pick up, all right, what can I do better each and every day in order to improve and just, continue to work on myself.
So let me ask you this. So what's one obstacle you had to overcome?
My shyness overall.
Okay.
I used to be really shy. Like this conversation that we having right now would have not happened a long time ago. Especially like over a year ago, I was super shy, super reserved, more like, just closed off to myself. But I just had to get over that fear and get over that shyness because I was so conscious of, people judging me or like coming across people in the wrong way, when in the end people are gonna judge you no matter if you're like the best of the best or like if you're just like not doing anything at all. So might as well just live your life for you.
Right.
Yeah.
So let me ask you something. So what got you to this point to stop? So did you just sit down with yourself and say, I'm not gonna be shy no more? Or was it something that takes time to grow?
It definitely took some time to grow. It gets to a point where you ever just sat down and just like you evaluated yourself and evaluated where you were at in life, and you're just like, man, something gotta change. But
right.
You just don't know what it is, And it's not until you get around a different group of people in a different environment who show you something different to where you can be like, oh, okay. If they're able to overcome their shyness and step out of their comfort zone, then I'm able to do it too.
Right.
So it's like so if that answers your question, just having an example of people who were able to do it, so I can build my motivation. So it can help build the motivation to me, so I can do it too.
Right.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Mm-hmm. So what is your biggest aspiration to this day?
My biggest aspiration? Really, I just want to provide for my family, man. That's one of my biggest aspirations that I have. And if you would have asked me that a year ago, same answer, but what that would have looked like was, actually buying them a nice plot of land somewhere, building them a house from the ground up, a nice foundation, just, big, pretty house. That's all I wanted for my family.
Right.
But now I want to provide, I want to provide more to them than just, items and objects and stuff like that. I want to provide to them like actual, like a different way of thinking,
Right.
Yeah.
So the question is, why do you think a lot of people don't invest?
Why do I feel like a lot of people don't invest? Is because
Just say it.
Huh?
Just say it.
Right. No. I'm like, I got to think about it. I feel like it's like part of two reasons. Some people are just, afraid to invest, afraid to lose their money, especially if, that's all the money that you have coming in at that point in time.
Right.
Some people have like a lack mentality and just think to myself like, oh, I got to save this. I got to save as much money as possible. But in the long run, it ends up hurting themselves in the end. While other people, they might have been burnt by a couple deals or like tried to invest in certain stocks or businesses and just, didn't really partner up with the right people who had the right values and morals. So I feel like that can also play a part of it too. And then, that's just one of the two things that I'm thinking of right up my head right there.
Oh, no, you're fine. Let me ask you something. Mm-hmm. Do you believe that the world is trying to paint a picture on how you should view the world?
In what ways?
Just an aspect on even being alive, being a man, being a woman. Do you think the news or just the world around you, like your environment, portrays it as something that you don't believe it is?
You know, I feel like that is a really good question. That is a really good question. I feel like, yes, the world is trying to portray us as people that, you know, we necessarily aren't, but also at the same time, we also have the power, like at the end of the day, we have the power to be like, no, that's not who we are as a people, or no, that's not who I identify as, or that's not what I want to represent. Really, it's just at the end of the day, it's just what you choose to believe and what you choose to walk in. If you like, just to give an example, as Black people, we can walk around and think like the media can portray us as like thugs and criminals and unintelligent people. But at the end of the day, as long as we know who we are, then there shouldn't be a need for us to want to walk in that and try to emulate that, because that's not who we are.
All right, I got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
What is Black culture?
What is Black culture? Man, you know, that's something I think about every day, to be honest.
I think the same thing. I feel like when we believe in Black culture, I believe that's what we allow to be Black culture.
Right.
I don't think it's actually Black culture. But I say a lot of shit that's going on in the world, I'm sitting there thinking, there's no way folks really think this way. And sure enough, they really think that way. But the thing about it is, I think a lot of it has to do with mental health. I think a lot of what I have to do is folks don't want to be wrong.
Yeah.
I think I also do a lot about ego and pride.
Oh, 100%.
I believe a lot of stuff, situations we could have avoided if we just sort of sat down and really think about it and be like, is this one little instance really worth the longevity of what's going to happen? Exactly, man. Because like a lot of people, like as emotional creatures, we get caught up in feelings and emotions. And we're really driven on feelings and emotions, which is a good thing, but also it can hurt us in the end, because we just let's say you get a new car, right, and somebody run into you or something. You can either, of course, who's not gonna be mad? Right.
Who's not gonna be pissed off? Because like, it's a brand new car.
Right. It's like someone just ran into my shit.
Right. But you can actually, there's a point and moment where you can sit there and choose like, okay, am I gonna spaz out and just like have a whole like episode about this, or am I gonna handle this in a more what is the word I'm trying to say? Not like civilized, but people skills in a way.
Right.
Yeah.
I can see that, man. I mean, I feel like with the way the world is, I feel like, do you believe the world's going in a positive direction?
No, I don't. But I don't think it's too late, though. I don't think it's too late. From what I've seen on social media and what I've seen just like news and social media and all that good stuff, you hear a lot about negative things that happen in life, or things that don't even matter at all. They don't really paint a picture towards the good. And then so there's that. And then on top of that as well, with social media, just speaking on social media alone, it's easy for anybody to just get caught up in the mindless game of just scrolling, just like looking for just like the newest, quickest piece of entertainment.
Right.
And they don't really give themselves time to like actually think about their day or self-reflect, or actually just ask themselves like, okay, why does this happen?
Right. That's why I asked you earlier about you be the world trying to paint a picture. I feel like with the way the world is, I feel like even though like TikTok and Snapchat,
yeah,
I believe what it is. I believe the goal was to eliminate patience. Because you think about it, when you look at Snapchat and TikTok, always like quick clips. So how fast do you think your patience is if you're using something quick?
Oh, not at all. Boy, patience. Look, mine like a squirrel.
Right.
Literally.
Right.
Yeah, like there'll be times where there'll be days where I actually sit down and read books and actually force myself to focus on a sentence or just that page. And I've noticed that my attention span is a lot better. My conversations are better. I'm more attentive, and I can actually listen to people when we're talking. And then there's moments where I can literally just mindlessly scroll through my phone like a zombie, and I will forget what we're talking about within just like that.
Right.
Because attention span just gone. You know?
I believe it. I mean, like I said, it's just what. So let me ask you this. So how do you find peace in an unpeaceful world?
You know, it's really one of my old coworkers. His name was Larry Mendez. He was a really awesome guy. Still is. It's not like he's dead or anything. But
I'm about to say, damn. I'm about to say, Paul, Larry.
Wait, no. Larry, he's still living. He's still kicking. If ever you see this, shout out to Larry.
Right on.
But yeah, like he was. I remember I asked him the same question because like I was just at a point where I was continuing, like I was just trying to work on myself, trying to better myself, but I realized I had no joy and no sense of peace. And I asked him about it. He was just like, that's where religion comes to play in the aspect. That's where, you know, you actually you find the root cause, like you find the root solution to like all your problems.
Right.
You know? So to answer your question, I feel like in order to find peace and in order to find actual joy in life, I feel like somewhere along the way, if that's what you're actually looking for, you're going to have to seek God and going to have to seek our Creator in order to, like, you know, actually find that, because He was the main one that provided it all to us, you know?
So let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're a person that believes that everything happens for a reason.
Yeah. Like, we interline with certain people for a reason, whether it's to brighten up their day for that one moment or to actually, you know, become life partners in a way, and just like work with each other and like build up one another as we go. But also a part of that does play. Choice does also have to play a factor in that. But overall, yes, I do believe that, because there's been times where I've just wind it back like a couple years ago. I remember I was in my room and I was just praying to God, just like praying for something different. So I was like praying for a better situation in life, praying for like a better outcome, because at that point in my life, I didn't have the best relationships. I felt really empty, really hollow. I was just drinking, smoking, partying, just throwing my life, like really just not doing anything productive in my life.
Right.
Not anything that I actually wanted to do. And I remember just like I was talking to God, I was praying to Him, just like, okay, just like, you know, just show me the way, show me something different. And it wasn't until like I want to say 2 months ago, I ran into somebody in the gym. His name is Corbin Bowles, and he was telling me about like where he was, like we just chopped it up, having a conversation, kind of like this. And he was telling me about where he was going in life and how he was in school at the time, and he was actually going to school for coaching, but he actually got presented a better opportunity through a couple entrepreneurs in the area. And you know, he was telling me about like how they just were able to show him something different in life, and these people that actually they were able to like emulate that joy, emulate that peace that God's able to present to us. And whenever I heard that, I was like, yo, put me on. Like,
right.
Who are these people? I need to meet them. And ever since, you know, just meeting him, getting in contact with them, and just being around just a newer environment like that, I like to say, man, like, that's literally just nothing but God right there. But yeah, I hope that answers that question. I know it's kind of long-winded, but...
Oh, no, it's fine, man. You have to be as long as you want them to be, man.
Yeah.
Oh, dang buzz. But let me ask you this, man. So, as you've been on this journey, how do you deal with doubt?
How do you feel with doubt? I just see it as like, kind of, you know, remember that, I feel like it's in Creed, the first movie of Creed, where Michael B. Jordan, he was shadow boxing himself, like he was fighting himself in the mirror. That's how I kind of view doubt. I view doubt as like me battling myself. Like, and when I say that, I say it as like, am I really going to let my current fear and my current worry stop me from achieving my goal of what I actually want?
Right.
Yeah. So I ask myself that, and then once I do, I'm just like, okay, you know what you want, but you know what you have to do in order to get to it. So and at that point, it's just do it. ain't nothing to it but to go through it, and we'll figure out the rest along the way.
So how do you get to the point where you're able to take that leap?
You just have to stop doubting yourself and stop having that fear, and just know that, you know, in this journey, especially if you're, I don't want to feel like I'm forcing religion down your throat or anything like that.
No, you're fine, man. Go ahead.
You know, for me, as God was walking with me, and I knew that God was walking with me in this life, that I'm not alone in my journey. I'm not alone in my fights. So that's just kind of like the reminder that I have to tell myself. Even on days, like, I'm not gonna lie, there's days where I don't have as much confidence as I should, or there's days where there's points in times where, like, I feel like I'm at my weakest, or like I just feel like I'm alone. But I'm constantly reminded, like, you're not alone. Somebody's always with you. Somebody's always listening. Somebody's always watching you, listening to you, and, like, there's better for you. You just have to go out there and seek. You have to go out there and find it and fight for it.
Let me ask you another question. What's the difference between pride and ego?
Pride and ego. With pride, they're kind of like brothers, you know. Like, I'm still trying to figure that one out for myself, because, like, the ego.
I thought me was a very good question.
It is pride. Like, that's one of those, like, I'm gonna be in my shower, like, dang, do I have that much pride? But they can.
Let me ask you this: what's your definition of pride?
What's my definition of pride?
Without comparing the two, what is this pride by itself? What's your definition of pride?
Right. My definition of pride. Having pride is kind of like having, like, a certain level of confidence about yourself, which is nothing wrong with, but also at the same time, with that, you have, like, a lot of pride. Some people can see it as positive, but some people can see it as, like, arrogance, or, like, kind of like a negative thing. So really just pretty much how you carry yourself, and how you walk in, like, how you just choose to present yourself in life. I don't know if that answers the question, but
no, man. No, man. It's a journey. We're on a journey, man, to learn. And I said, this may be a question you can ask yourself later on, man. When you get in the car and you drive off into the sunset, you can sit there and be wondering, pride and ego.
Right.
Because I think the two get mixed together.
They do.
So let me ask you a question. What's the ego?
I feel like ego is one of those things where
Oh my goodness.
Good God.
I'll make you a deal, man.
Huh?
I'll make you a deal. That's what we're going to do. Hold on. I'll make you a deal, man. Ego, a person's self-esteem or self-importance. Part of mind that meditates between the conscious and unconscious and responsible for reality testing and a sense of personal identity. That's ego. And then you got what is pride. Should have wrote this down in my notes, but I thought
this works.
A feeling of deep pleasure or satisfaction derived from one's own achievements of those with whom one is closely associated, or from quality or possessions that are widely admired.
Thank you, Google. Save the day.
Right.
Oh, man. Well,
so I get ego is more personal and pride is more external.
Yeah.
What we're talking about. So let me ask you a question. When's the one time an ego has hurt you and one time the ego has helped you?
I can't think of a time where my ego has helped me. I feel like a lot of times my ego would tell me, like, well, I'll say it like this. Sometimes as I go throughout my day, I'll get something in me will just tell me, like, okay, I need to reach out to this person. I need to just have a conversation with this person. No matter how close or how distant we've been, especially if they're, like, my close friends. And there's times where I just did not reach out because, you know, like I can just constantly be replaying in my head like, oh, they haven't been talking to me for like this amount of time. Every time I try to reach out, they don't respond. They don't want to talk to me. They kind of seem fake. But then I have to. So like I feel like that's a part of. I feel like that's a part where like it can stop me. The only reason why I'm saying that is because had I not, then had I like not listened to my ego and just still chose to like reach out and like just have that conversation with them and just check on them as like as like a good friend would. Who's to say that probably would have? It's hard for me to say that conversation probably would have helped them out in the end.
Right.
Or it probably would have helped me out in the end. Probably would have showed me a different viewpoint just gave me like a different viewpoint on like a certain like something I was going through or overall just. What I'm trying to say is, your ego can just be your biggest blessing blocker.
Right.
Yeah. So it can stop you from going into certain interviews. It can stop you from having certain conversations, taking certain job positions. Even if we feel like, oh, like you're better than them. At the end of the day, we're all created equal.
Right.
So no need to hold ourselves on a pedestal or like just to let our egos make our heads bigger than what it needs to be. Yeah.
I think of ego differently. I think of ego as like an opportunity for you to learn more about yourself and see what I wouldn't say your guilty pleasures, but I guess what you feel as an individual that drives you and pushes you towards something. Because because obviously with your ego, you gotta think about it though. Sometimes I feel like your ego. It depends on what your relationship is with your ego.
Yeah.
Some people have good, some people have bad. Mine is, even though I feel like I'm this person that's all these things, it's the fact that I'm striving and push myself towards these things. Like for instance, like it also depends on situations. Let's say if you really needed money, you wouldn't mind working at McDonald's or Taco Bell to get back on your feet. No. If you just had to.
No, not at all, man.
But if you didn't need to, your ego would be like, why are we going to work at McDonald's for? Why are we going to work at Taco Bell for? We should go try to do this, try to go do that. So do you ever let your ego run wild, or do you try to keep it contained? What is your relationship with your ego?
I try to keep my ego contained for the most part. I try to just, not let it control my daily life and like my daily habits. Because, before this, there was a point in time I was working 2 jobs. I was working at Walmart and I had a part-time cleaning job on the side, man. Like I was a custodian going around cleaning office to office, and that's just what I had to do at the time just to pay off my debt. So
right.
It's like I didn't let that stop. Like I didn't let my ego stop me from doing that because I knew that it was only going to be temporary. But with my relationship with my ego, I just try not. Because I know how I can get really self-absorbed and become more selfish the more I listen to my ego. So I just try to not let it control my daily habits as much as I used to. Yeah.
I can appreciate it, man. Let's see here. What's your definition of a ceiling?
Of a ceiling? It's like a lid that you like a limitation or a lid that you place on yourself. Because like each and every one of our ceilings, there some people that they just don't have a ceiling. Like they've been brought up and taught and raised well enough, and like whether through self-teaching or through like mentors and coaches or just like whatever, they was brought up to where like there's no such thing. Others is like they have a limit or like they have a ceiling, but they're constantly working on like might have to hit their head on it just to raise it up a bit, but you know it's kind of work on it.
Right.
So, but in the end of it, like what I think about it is it's a limitation that we all put on ourselves, whether it's our creativity, whether it's our job circumstance, whether it's our imagination, or just to name a couple things. I feel like we personally do put limits on what all we want to do, and how much effort that we want to put into it. But really, it's adaptable. It's always fixable. You can always adjust the lid or eventually remove it later on. It's just up to you and up to your, like, if you have any goals, or if that is your dream of removing that lid and just, expanding yourself, then, of course it can be done. But if you don't have a dream, if you don't have ambition, then you're not going to go anywhere. You're still going to be stuck in that bottle. It's kind of like, have you ever seen that experiment where they placed a whole bunch of gnats inside a jar, and like, they had gnats outside the jar just going wild, and just like, well, fleas, it was fleas.
Right.
But like, they was like, going wild, just hopping everywhere and everything. But when you place the fleas inside the jar, and they keep on hitting their heads in the lid, they then train themselves not to go past a certain point.
Right, I remember that.
Mm-hmm. So whenever you take them out the jar, it still looks like they're in the lid.
Right.
You feel me? It's kind of like the same thing with people. We get so caught up and so used to like a certain way of thinking, to the point where we eventually forget how to think for ourselves, and
right.
forget, like our creativity, the power within creativity.
Right. Mm-hmm. So the question is, how do you come to a conclusion that your thoughts aren't your thoughts? Like, how do you know at this point that your thoughts aren't your thoughts?
There's just some times where you ever just be sitting down and you have like a certain word or a certain name, or like just something that keeps on running through your head over and over again. You just keep on asking yourself, like, why am I having this random thought? Like, why this? And sometimes it's the enemy trying to place like it could be negative. It could be like the enemy placing seeds of doubt. Like, especially if you're having like negative thoughts of any sort, or like if you're, I don't brain part right there. So I'm gonna stop myself before I go any further, man.
You could have kept going.
It literally just poop. It was on the tip of my tongue. It just poop. Going like that.
Hey man, someone else to pick it up, man.
Right.
Someone else to pick it up. So let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
How do you enjoy the little things?
Like counting your blessings every day. Just like, even like what I see it, I might not be exactly where I want to be in life, whether it's in my finances or my job circumstance or anything else like that. I still appreciate the fact that, okay, I still have a job. I'm still able to go about freely in this world today. I still have my car, thank God.
Right.
Because there's some times I'm just like, I don't know if you're gonna make it.
Right.
But I still have all these many blessings. Like, I'm still able to like wake up and actually enjoy them. That's the biggest blessing right there. Because there's, nobody knows whether or not they're gonna live the next minute or so, the next hour, the next day. But just remembering the fact that we're blessed with like breath in our lungs, and still able to like wake up and just enjoy life and make an impact to other people, and it's like
right.
shit, like just help each and every person out, whether it's spreading positivity or just sharing the knowledge that we've gained. That's what's helped me enjoy the little things in life the most. Because a lot of things, whether it's like tangible items or positions, financial, even people, can all be taken away from you.
Right. Completely right. Let's see here. You didn't tell here to knock on all these damn. All right, let me ask you this. What does happiness mean to you? What does happiness mean to you?
That is a good question. I feel like somewhere along the way we was meant to cross paths. For what reason, I don't know. But I guess we'll find out in the future, man. What do you think?
They always say happiness is like an in the moment feeling.
Mm-hmm.
They say joy is like ultimate, is like joy, and happiness. I feel like happiness is just like based on the person. I always said happiness can be anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like something that can make you happy could make me cry.
Yeah.
That's why some people like horror movies. Some people don't like horror movies.
Yeah.
So I feel like it depends on, I guess, the way you live your life. But I think a lot of part of it have to be is like, let's say it. I wouldn't say traumas, but I guess it's like things you go through in life that you experience that make you feel a way about certain things. Because like I said, one little, maybe you were a kid, maybe a dog bit you when you were like 4 or 5 years old, and there's a thing you never liked dogs.
Yeah.
So it's like, I guess, I don't know, I guess ultimately with me happiness, I guess it's like, it's enjoying the little things, like it's enjoying the fact that you can walk around here, breathe, and enjoy the fact that you can still have chances and opportunities to do better for yourself. But I feel like in the world that we're in today, I feel like you don't ever get to see, like, I feel like you only see the negative in people. That's why I say it's hard for me to judge somebody based on what you see off the news. Because I feel like a lot of people aren't who, I feel like people are different than what you, I really say like they're completely different in person.
Right.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
Yeah. And like, also with that, a lot of people can come across as negative or like, just come across as negative only because that's what they choose to focus on themselves. Just like, because I could easily sit down right over here and just start complaining about, you know, just my day, the calls I've taken, the amount of stress that I have to go through, and all this other stuff. But how is that going to benefit? How is that going to benefit this conversation? And how is that going to benefit you?
Not at all.
And not at all. So I just choose. I choose not to, and I choose to focus on like, okay, like what actually matters the most, which right now is people. At the end of the day, we matter the most. No matter our skin color, no matter our race or where we are, our ethnicity or anything, because like we're all created equal.
So how do you get to the point where everybody's created equal? How do you accept that people are just people? That's what I'm trying to get people to think of. Is like we're all just people. But I don't feel like people don't think about it. I feel like people put too much emphasis on gender, puts up on race, your height, your money, car you drive, your material. I feel like people focus too much on materialistic. But at the end of the day, when you die, I'm thinking, you can't take any of that shit with you anyway.
Exactly. We can't, look, even the people that did try to take all their gold, their money, there'll be people that buried inside their cars. They still couldn't take it to them with them in the afterlife. It was still just sitting there in the ground, just, you know, rotting away. So at the end of the day, like, that's why I'm saying, like, you know, no matter what our race, gender, ethnicity, background, all that different stuff. If I cut my veins, if I cut my wrist, you cut your wrist, we both gonna bleed red blood.
Right.
And even same thing for like anybody who's white or Hispanic or like Asian, we all gonna bleed the same blood.
Right.
And you know, so there's really no need to like divide each other or like point out our differences. We need to really just focus on like the more ways that we're actually more in common and more more like the common things that we have in common, like, you know, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, but I'm hit you with a line real quick. It's a line I came up with. I said, we're all individuals in a group effort. That's where I think everyone trying to be so different,
right?
But we're all so in common at the same time.
Kind of like crabs in a barrel.
I remember I talked about that numerous times, but it's the truth.
Right.
It's like no one wants that. They say if all the crabs got together, they all could get out the dam.
Exactly. One by one, they all would have been able to get out the bucket. Even the last crab in there, he would have been able to like eventually get pulled out.
Right. But I say the crab could have got over there and pulled them out.
Right.
Everybody could have got them. But the thing about it is though, I think everyone is so. How do you stop being selfish? This is the question I want to ask you. How do you get out your own way?
Again, it's just. With that, it's kind of like plays a part in like it kind of played a part of what I was talking about with fear and like the shadow boxing. You realize, like, you just start to realize, like, okay, if this is what's stopping me from progressing, then why should I let that hold me back to my future? Like roughly around like a year ago or so, I really had to just like focus on not smoking no more, because that used to be a bad habit of mine. But not saying that smoking isn't bad, but it just wasn't adding any value to where I wanted to go, like all I wanted to achieve in life. So I really had to like ask myself, like, okay, am I going to let this one herb, this one plant that I get 2 for $20 on every week,
right,
am I going to really let this stop me from a better job position, or just like, actually caring, like, not having so much self-doubt and self-confidence on how I present myself to people? Am I really going to let that just like hold me back? Or am I going to be able to like just push that away and, just take back my life?
Right.
So that's how, like, you push the temptation overall, just pushing the temptations of the flesh away, and just like, just thinking like more with your mind, with your conscience, and with your soul. Because like, at the end of the day, these these bodies of ours, they have their own temptations, and they're going to want you to do things that, it feels good at the moment, but it doesn't do us good in the long run, if that makes sense.
I'm thinking the same damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you deal with addictions?
Addictions.
Is that more of a mental? Sorry to cut you off. Is it more of a bodily thing, or is it more of a mental thing?
Definitely mental. It's definitely mental, 100%. Before, I don't know if I ever told you this, but like I've been vegetarian for like the last 5 years.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it. But yeah, like main reason why I did that was because I was heavily addicted to just eating and food itself. Like, it'll get to a point where I would just consume a lot of food all at once, pass out, wake back up, demolish the kitchen again, pass out, wake back up, just a whole constant cycle, because I just didn't have the self-control to stop.
What do you think caused it? What do you think caused it?
It was a number of things. I know depression was one, insecurities was another, which fed into the constant cycle of doing all over again. And loneliness can also do it as well. Because at that point in time, I really felt isolated from other people and friends. And I didn't really feel like I had that many friends or that many people I could relate to. So pieces of that played into it. And one of my coping mechanisms before I got introduced to like weed and alcohol and drugs was food. So I kind of used that as my crutch. And I don't know, like, it just got to one point. You ever seen my 600-pound life? I felt like I was living on that episode of Man. I was just like, yeah, we gotta make a difference.
So what got you to the point where you had to stop? Cause I feel like, I know I keep asking you a personal question, but it's like the sense of like, you have to get to a point where like this gotta stop. But when you're in it, a lot of people don't know that they're in it.
Yeah. With me, it was the fact that I constantly had the thought going in my mind of being like, okay, maybe I should try being vegetarian, or maybe I should just go vegan. And there was a couple things that happened. Back when I was in high school, I had a friend. Her name is Christy. I think she's living in Houston right now. But me and her, we were really cool, and we were just talking one day. She was just like, "Hey, I'm about to go vegan. You should go vegan with me." And I was like, I was thinking in my head, I was like, I've been thinking about this for a while. Might as well. And then that very same day, because literally right after we got through talking, I walked into her class and I went to my stats class. And my teacher at the time, she put on this documentary called "What the Health," and it was about how like the major food corporations, like they label certain foods or like certain food groups as healthy, even though they don't provide any type of like nutritional value to us at all.
Quick question: do you believe that the whole milk thing they have in school was a conspiracy or no?
You said the milk thing?
They always say that milk is like real stronger bone and kids should drink milk all the time.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Because like, even if there is like, okay, I don't know how much calcium is in milk, but that calcium was designed, like that milk itself was designed for a cow. The milk, like the actual calcium that we need, we can get it from plants, bro. We can get it from like actual nutrients and actual like, plants and herbs and nutrients that's like, that is fed organically and naturally through the sun and just through the ground and through the environment itself, as opposed to like, relying on, meat and milk and all that other stuff. Not to make that up. I'm also saying this because I understand that certain people think differently about like, veganism and being vegetarian.
What's one thing that people don't understand about being a vegan that you hear all the time that people have the misinformation about being a vegan?
a lot of people, I feel like a lot of people have speculations of constantly being hungry all the time, or not being able to have as many options, or like not being able to eat or just enjoy food. Really, at the end of the day, it's like it's not, you won't be able to enjoy the food that you used to eat, but also in the same beauty of that, you get to enjoy different foods, and like you come up with a different taste palette that you never would have had before.
Mm-hmm.
Because before I went vegan, I didn't even like mushrooms at all. I didn't like mushrooms. I didn't eat a lot of vegetables. You would have looked at me and be like, ain't no way this man vegetarian or this man vegan.
Right.
But even I kind of think that till now, because like my diet's just not really the best. You know, I still eat hot Cheetos every now and again. I'm not perfect.
Right. It happens, man. We're only human out here.
Right, exactly. But also with that, you start having more of like a deeper relationship with your body, and like realizing how different foods make you feel afterwards. So like right now, I know that if I was to eat something super greasy back in the day, it would have not affected me at all. But now, I don't know, because I got older, because my taste palette has changed. Yeah, I can't stomach greasy food like that no more. I can't. Like, literally, it makes me nauseous just even thinking about it. So it's like just learning, like overall with it, it's just like it helps you learn what your limits are, and how much of each food group you actually need to consume. Not to say that you should just be extremist and just be like, oh, I'm not gonna eat anything bad at all, because we still have temptations.
Right.
But you can still enjoy, you can still enjoy a little bit of candy here, a little bit of chips there, just again in moderation. Just not indulging in it.
I believe. Let's see here. What's one conspiracy that you have about the world?
Besides the whole food organization, you heard of chemtrails, right?
No, sir.
You never heard of chemtrails?
Lead away.
All right. So, I feel like chemtrails are like these trails that jets leave behind, or like planes leave behind in the sky.
Yeah.
And with it, that can cause like either global change, like some type of climate change, or some type of sickness to happen in like a certain area. Now, whether or not this is true, because it hasn't been proven just yet, that's for whoever to find out. But I just noticed this like roughly around a year ago, especially around when COVID was really hot. I remember just looking up in the sky, and I remember just seeing trails go across the sky, and I was just like, I wonder why they're over here. Maybe they're just flying, doing testing. And then next thing you know, I hear on the news, allergies, like, pollen, well, not pollen, but like, the rise of COVID and the rise of like different sicknesses are going up. And I remember thinking to myself, like, okay, this is too close for comfort.
Right.
Like, this is too close to be called a coincidence. So yeah, that's just one conspiracy that I have right there. Now, whether or not it's true or not, I don't know. You have to do your own do your own research and knowledge.
Right. I feel like my big conspiracy theory is like the government is a conspiracy theory to me.
Really? Like in what ways?
Like in the sense of like, my thing is, I always thought the conspiracy was like wars and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're all people, why do we need to have wars? That's something I never understood.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you go to war, you're killing somebody else's son, someone else's father, someone's uncle, just for you to sit here and be like, I fought for my country. Nothing against people that go to the military, but I'm like, you're killing other people's children. Mm-hmm. Now this mother doesn't have a son no more.
Right.
And you're fighting for resources? Why isn't everybody getting along? So I don't see why we're all so disconnected with the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
When we're all connected, we're all so common. Just because you speak a different language doesn't mean we don't have the same pain.
Yeah.
If I broke my leg, you broke your leg, we would start to fix both legs the same damn way.
No, for real.
If you broke your leg, you were like, we had to open your elbow and fix it.
Right.
We both sit here in a dame with a brace. I don't know how to. I don't know how to fix a broken leg, but
Right.
yeah, I don't understand it. Another thing I have is like, why in the world do we have two branches of government? Or isn't the ultimate goal to make sure everybody's okay? So why do we have two different branches?
I feel like somewhere within that, there is a
Power struggle?
not even the power struggle, but like an overall divide that they want to have, like that's, you know, being programmed to happen. And again, just going back to, you know, people just is programming people to find the differences between each other instead of finding ways to find more common things that we have
Right.
together. So yeah, I get where you're coming from, man. Because like, you know, at the end of the day, if everybody is going to have their differences in thinking and how they operate in the world and everything. Not everybody's going to be made the same.
Right.
Cause like, but yeah, what I'm trying to say is, a conversation can be had about any disagreement, and anytime if it just ever gets to a point where you can't agree to disagree, then that's just gonna have to be accepted.
Right. And I say, how can you agree on something that, I don't know, man. I just feel like the world is not. I just feel like the world. I think you understand that the world is a dangerous place, but I feel like I don't think it's ever meant to be dangerous. I don't think it's ever meant to be the way it is, and cars and gasoline and children out here in foster homes. I feel like it was never meant to be like this. My thing is, what's it going to take to change the world? But I feel like but the thing about changing the world, I feel like people gotta want to change themselves. But how? But then again, like I asked you earlier, how to get out your own way? How do you think people get out their own way? I think people focus so much on the differences instead of the common ground.
Exactly.
So what we supposed to do? You think? I mean, I know you're not getting no straight answer, but what can you do?
Again, just, you know, focus on yourself. I mean, not focus on yourself, but like actually focus on how you can change yourself, so that way you can change others, and then also seek people who are going in the same direction. Because if you try to go about tackling your environment alone, it's going to change you before you can ever change it.
Right.
But if there's a mass group of you and a mass, like, you know, it's a mass organization of people who have the same concept and have the same thinking, who want to achieve the same goal, it makes the work a lot easier, because it's a team effort. It's actually organized. It's a group effort. So, you know, but it all starts with you. It all starts with you, and all starts with, like, you know, you wanted to fix yourself to the core of everything.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, I got one more question for you, man. I'm not gonna hold you forever. Got a quick question for you.
It's all good.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years, and what sacrifice are you gonna have to make to get there?
Ooh, you know, hey, that is a good question. In 5 years. In 5 years, I don't see myself living in Tyler anymore. I see myself eventually, you know, moving out of town, whether that's the Dallas area or, all I can say is like just probably like the Dallas area right now. I really just don't want to be working no more, man.
Right.
Yeah, having a job within itself, but like just knowing the fact that I have to rely on a paycheck in order to pay my bills, in order to just live. I'm not gonna lie, it's not the greatest.
I think it's depressing. Because I think especially when like they know that your livelihood is on this job, so they can throw you through the damn ringer.
Yeah, and just be like, hey, you know you need this paycheck. What you gonna do to get it?
What you gonna do? I mean, are you willing to take the chances? Are you really gonna just quit your job? And now look at it. Now you're sitting here with no job.
Right. You're sitting there with no job. Can't pay the bills. Especially if, you know, by then, like,
family.
See, I would be 23 right now. 5 years, I'll be 28. So I would eventually want, like, you know, wife, starting on having kids, not necessarily having kids just yet. If it happens, then hey.
It happens. Right.
But you know, as a man too, you know, as a man who wants to I want to provide for my family,
right.
And I want to be seen. I want to be like the best example for my kids, because I didn't really have that growing up for myself. So really, just like overall, what I'm trying to say is I'm definitely gonna have to get out my comfort zone a lot more and just start taking a lot more risks and actually putting more. I wouldn't necessarily say putting more pressure on myself, but like putting a time limit on myself. Kind of like, let's say if rent was due every month, or like if bills were due every month. Like let's say you had a certain, like let's say you told yourself like, okay, I need to have 3 podcasts a day in order to like grow your platform, right? And you did it to the point where it was like you either have these podcasts or you're not going back home to sleep that night.
Right.
You're putting a lot more emphasis on like the need of it because you see the end result that it could possibly take you.
Right.
That's just how I'm looking at it right now. Because I know with the business that I'm in, I know it's gonna take me a lot more work. But a lot of that is just me getting out of my comfort zone a lot more and willing to have those conversations, kind of like this, getting to know each, like, conversation where I get to know each other, well, know somebody else, and actually just, not let my ego tell me, like, oh, you don't need to talk to them.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Are you big, or do you believe in taking chances, or do you believe in taking risks?
I believe in both right now. Because, like, they kind of tie in together. Because at the end, like, it just depends on how you view it. Kind of like if you view it as, like, as a glass half empty or half full. You can see something for like how much potential that it has,
right?
Or you can see it as like all the risks that you're gonna have to take, or everything that you're gonna have to sacrifice in order to get to it. So yeah, it's just, if you choose to focus on the negative in something, that's all you're gonna risk. That's all you're gonna get, because
right.
That's all you focus on. That's all you stop for. But if you choose to focus on a positive in something, then of course that's what you are going to get, because that's what you had your attention set on.
All right. I got 2 more things. Mm-hmm. Is there anything else you have to get off your mind for the podcast?
All I can say is, because I know I said a lot.
No, I'll make you a deal. The second question was, what's something you want to tell yourself in the future if you ever come back to this podcast one day, wherever you are?
Yeah.
What's something you want to tell yourself today? You tell yourself in the future.
One thing that I can tell myself in the future is like, just don't stop. Keep going. Whatever type of doubts that you have, or whatever, what type of mental blocks that you might have at that time, just don't let it get to you. And I feel like that's something that can go for everybody within themselves too.
Right.
I feel like we all have our self-doubt. And, just keep on finding ways that you can add value to others.
And with that being said, man, you done flew through all my damn questions. Well, man, thank you so much for flying through my shit so damn fast. I appreciate it, man.
It was that quick?
It's probably at least 30-something minutes long. Well, man, appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir. It's been my pleasure.
Keep yourself up, man. I'll see you on the next one, man.
I'll see you on the next one.
Shit. Had me nervous as hell. Forget you, man.
I had you nervous?
Yes.
But you was the one asking me questions.